If you're here at Reimagine Buildings, you're probably here to learn how to incorporate decarbonisation into your practice. Perhaps you're trying to get more high-performance projects, but you can't get the buy-in from stakeholders. All they see is extra cost and complexities. What if I told you that annoying perspective gap is actually a symptom of a deeper problem for all building experts? Affordable housing trailblazers, Riseborough, figured out a way to navigate this very issue by adopting a beginner's mind. That shift has positioned them as game changers in decarbonising the built environment. Today, we're going to check out one of their projects, Woodlawn Senior, and see its 3 lessons for doing decarbonisation correctly. Let's dive in. Even though Woodlawn Senior was developed by Riseborough, the idea came from Reverend Granville Senior of the United Church of Jesus Christ in Wakefield.
We believe in a holistic ministry. We attend to the overall concerns of the individual. One of the areas that we have been focusing on is affordable housing. I am always in driving around looking for properties.
The Reverend found a site in Woodlawn Heights, an area that differs substantially from most people's stereotypes of the Bronx. It's a predominantly working-class Irish area where people still speak with a brogue. It's the last stop on the 4 train, not very far drive from the suburbs of Westchester. Things have been much the same for decades. So how do you think they reacted when the Reverend Senior first came forth with his proposal? We got some pushback.
The community had some concerns. We did not take the objections personally. We recognize that they want their community to be the best community.
Yes. So what would you do at this point? There's a clear need for affordable senior housing, the neighborhood doesn't want it, and you own the building as of right. Would you build it anyway and hope they accept your vision? Reverend Senior took a different path.
We had a series of conversations with the community leaders. We both recognized the need for this facility, and amidst the overall objection of the community, we felt that we could find common grounds.
The community meetings were tense. Their chief adversary was a group called the Woodlawn Taxpayers Association, who didn't want to see the project come to pass.
We had a lot of trouble with the community in Woodlawn. They didn't want it. So those types of conversations definitely shaped the way we designed Woodlawn.
The 2 sides made some breakthrough, finding some common ground. The original 85 units were cut down to 45, and the appearance of the building was altered to match the height and the color of the neighboring buildings more closely. You can't just force a program onto the context. You have to think about the people who are going to be interacting with the space the most. For Woodlawn Senior's architect, Grayson Jordan, a beginner's mind is just another word for opportunity.
Instead of having a way that you do it that you're not re-examining, you're completely open and curious about it. And you're also a little bit information deficient. And so you have to go out and engage with the folks who are the expert. If it's the trash room, the super's the expert. If it's how the apartment should be laid out, it's the residents who are the expert. If it's how the building should fit within its context, then it's the greater community who is the expert. And you're checking in with those experts and allowing yourself to be guided by them.
They got a lot of buy-in from the neighborhood for the program, but they never had any debate for the passive house.
There never is a question whether or not we're doing passive house. We are designing to passive house standards as our standard. The work we do is really hard, and we're already doing hard work, and it seems worth the effort to push on this as well. And I'm really glad we did.
There's a really good marriage of passive house and affordable housing. Part of that is because if I'm building it and I'm operating it, I'm invested in how the building performs. Even on the market rate side where there isn't that incentive to drive down cost, it's almost like a no-brainer passive house. And with building codes being more and more getting closer to passive house and high performance.
Passive house makes sense for the bottom line, but for Riseborough, it actually lets them stretch what it even means to have a bottom line?
Typically with real estate, you're wondering about your ROI, your return on investment. And I think what we look at for that return on investment is made up of three components. It's the environmental, building to the Passive House standard. We are creating better air quality for our tenants, and that is also an environmental return on investment. We look at economics, so that's more traditional, to return on investment, but building to Passive House standard is helping us manage and maintain one of those operational cost drivers. Finally, the third part of the triple bottom line is the social impact of well-built, well-designed, energy-efficient buildings is not just for Riseborough, it's not just for our tenants, it's really for society at large. Your buildings cost less to operate. In affordable housing, that means you need less subsidy from the government because you can afford to take on more private debt. And so that's one social impact. And then another social impact is if we are designing buildings that promote good health of the tenants, these all have significant impacts on tenant health, and that could have a broader impact on the cost of public health care. So that's what we mean by triple bottom line, that each dollar you spend has 3 times the amount of impact because it's a financial impact, it's a social impact, and it has an environmental impact.
Riseborough doesn't just demonstrate the value of Passive House as the icing on the cake. They view it as a fundamental approach. I got a tour of the apartments and they were comfortable, quiet, spacious, new, and the ERVs were pumping the room full of fresh air. Even though I didn't make this building, it gives me a sense of pride, like a joy. Like this is a building that I would be designing. It's a building that's better than the minimum code.
Community's great. People around here are great. We have community room, we have laundry room, we have on-site social work, and they help you, they're great. The structure of the building is amazing. I mean, even when it rains, the rain don't come in.
Independence is very important when you're trying to get out of the system. It's putting more responsibility on you that's needed.
So would you say your current space in this building allows you to have your independence and your responsibility?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Just to, drive by here and to know that this project is here, I get excited. And to be able to say to folks, as you drive along 233rd Street, there is a building there, you can't miss it. It is unique, the design, it is different. I don't think it's a stretch to say this is a state of the art. And that's the reason we are able to say, well, mission accomplished.
Having the right mentality is a great first step, but there's a huge range of technical information you need to make a Passive House too. Check out our Passive House 101 series here.